Hey everyone, welcome back to the Powerful Stoic Way. If you're new here, this is the place where we talk about transforming challenges into powerful life lessons using Stoicism and practical strategies. Today, we're diving into a topic that every woman faces but doesn't always talk about: weaknesses. Whether it's fear of rejection, the pressure to always be strong, or the tendency to neglect your own needs, we all have things that hold us back. But here's the thing. Acknowledging these weaknesses is the first step toward growth and resilience. By the end of this video, you'll have actionable insights on how to embrace your vulnerabilities, build strength from them, and ultimately turn these challenges into opportunities for personal transformation. So if you're ready to unlock your true potential, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And as always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're excited to take your mindset to the next level. Now let's jump right into today's topic and start breaking down those weaknesses with Stoic wisdom. Number 1. Overthinking. Overthinking is like a mental treadmill. You keep running, but you never actually get anywhere. Many women struggle with this because of the way society often conditions them to analyze situations deeply. Whether it's replaying a conversation, worrying about future outcomes, or second-guessing decisions, overthinking can feel overwhelming and paralyzing. One reason overthinking happens is that women are often natural caregivers and problem solvers. This instinct to fix things can lead to excessive rumination. For instance, you might find yourself analyzing whether you said the right thing at work or wondering if someone misinterpreted your tone. While self-reflection is healthy, overthinking crosses the line when it leads to unnecessary stress or anxiety. Here's the tricky part. Overthinking feels productive. It tricks you into believing that if you just think about a problem long enough, you'll find the perfect solution. But in reality, it drains your energy and keeps you stuck in a loop of what-ifs. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Overthinking magnifies the reaction to minor problems, making them seem larger than they really are. Instead of obsessing over every detail, focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. So how can you break the cycle of overthinking? One effective method is to set a time limit for worrying. For example, give yourself 10 minutes to think about a problem, and when the time is up, redirect your energy elsewhere. Journaling can also help you sort out your thoughts and release them from your mind. Another powerful tool is mindfulness. By staying present and focusing on the here and now, you can quiet the noise in your head. Think about it. How often do you overthink something in the moment versus when you're reflecting on the past or worrying about the future? Meditation and deep breathing exercises can bring you back to the present. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever caught yourself overthinking a situation? How did you handle it? Share your story in the comments so we can learn from each other's experiences. Number 2. Struggling with boundaries. Boundaries are one of the most important yet challenging aspects of life, especially for women. Many women find themselves struggling to set clear limits, whether it's in relationships, at work, or even with friends and family. Why? Because saying no or standing firm often feels like risking disapproval, conflict, or even rejection. The struggle with boundaries can be traced back to societal conditioning. From an early age, many women are encouraged to be accommodating, nurturing, and selfless. While these traits are beautiful, they can also lead to a mindset where prioritizing oneself feels selfish or wrong. This is where the problem begins. You become so focused on keeping everyone else happy that you forget to protect your own peace. Think about the last time you said yes to something you really didn't want to do. Maybe it was taking on extra work when you were already overwhelmed, or perhaps it was attending an event you didn't feel up to. How did you feel afterward? Resentful? Drained? This is what happens when we fail to honor our boundaries. We end up sacrificing our well-being for the sake of others. As Brené Brown puts it, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. This quote perfectly captures the essence of boundaries. They're not about shutting people out or being cold. They're about showing respect for yourself and others by communicating what you can and cannot handle. If you struggle with boundaries, the first step is recognizing that they're necessary. Boundaries are not walls. They're guidelines that help others understand your limits. Setting them doesn't make you mean or selfish. It makes you healthy and balanced. Start small. If saying no feels uncomfortable, practice polite yet firm ways to decline. For example, I'd love to help, but I'm already at capacity right now. Thank you for thinking of me, but I'll have to pass this time. Notice how these responses are respectful yet assertive. They communicate your limits without being rude. Another important aspect is consistency. Once you set a boundary, stick to it. People may test or push back against your limits, but that's normal. By standing your ground, you teach others to respect your boundaries over time. Here's a practical exercise. Take a moment to think about one area in your life where you feel stretched too thin. It could be a demanding friend, an overbearing coworker, or even family obligations. Write down one boundary you'd like to set and how you plan to communicate it. Number 3, seeking perfection. Perfection is a seductive illusion, something that seems achievable if you just try hard enough, yet remains frustratingly out of reach. Many women struggle with the pursuit of perfection, whether it's in their appearance, career, relationships, or even how they manage their day-to-day lives. The pressure to have it all and do it all flawlessly is overwhelming, and yet perfectionism often feels like the only way to prove one's worth. The problem with seeking perfection is that it sets you up for constant disappointment. Even when you achieve something incredible, there's always a nagging voice in the back of your mind saying, "You could have done better." This inner critic keeps you chasing an unattainable ideal, robbing you of joy and self-acceptance. A big reason for this struggle is the societal emphasis on women doing it all with grace. Social media adds fuel to this fire. Instagram feeds are filled with images of women who seem to have perfect homes, perfect bodies, perfect partners, and perfect careers. But here's the truth. Perfection is a highlight reel, not reality. What you don't see are the messy human moments behind those curated posts. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This quote serves as a reminder that seeking perfection in external things is a losing battle. True strength lies in mastering your mindset and embracing your imperfections. So how can you escape the perfection trap? Start by reframing your mindset. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for progress. Life is not about getting everything right. It's about growing, learning, and improving over time. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Here's a helpful mantra. Done is better than perfect. Let this phrase guide you when you find yourself stuck in analysis paralysis or endlessly tweaking something. Perfection isn't the goal. Completion is. Another strategy is to practice self-compassion. Imagine how you'd speak to a close friend if she were struggling. Would you criticize her for not being perfect? Or would you encourage her and remind her of her strengths? Treat yourself with the same kindness. Perfectionism also thrives on comparison, so consciously limit your exposure to things that trigger this tendency. Take a break from social media or unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate. Instead, focus on what you've achieved and the unique qualities that make you who you are. Number 4, caring too much about opinions. One of the most common struggles for women is placing too much importance on the opinions of others. Whether it's family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers on social media, the need for approval can feel overwhelming. But why do we care so much about what others think? For many women, this tendency starts early in life. Society often teaches women to prioritize being liked, agreeable, and good. This conditioning makes external validation feel crucial. Compliments, likes, and approval become markers of success or worth. However, the downside is that living for others' opinions means sacrificing your own desires and authenticity. Here's the truth. No matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion. You could be the kindest, most accomplished person in the world, and still, there will be critics. As the saying goes, you can't please everyone, and you shouldn't try to. Caring too much about what others think is exhausting. It's like carrying a heavy backpack filled with other people's expectations. You lose sight of your own goals and values because you're too busy trying to live up to what everyone else wants. This constant need for approval can also lead to people-pleasing behaviors, where you say yes to things you don't want to do just to avoid disappointing others. A great quote to remember is by Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. This reminds us that the power lies within us to choose how much weight we give to other people's opinions. So how can you stop caring so much about what others think? Start by asking yourself one simple question. Whose opinion really matters? Chances are, the list is shorter than you think. The people who genuinely care about you will love and support you for who you are, not for how well you meet their expectations. Next, focus on strengthening your self-worth. When you're confident in who you are, the opinions of others won't hold as much sway. Practice affirmations, celebrate your accomplishments, and spend time with people who uplift and encourage you. It's also helpful to set boundaries with people who are overly critical or judgmental. If someone's opinion doesn't come from a place of love or constructive feedback, it's okay to let it go. Not every comment deserves your energy. And let's talk about social media for a moment. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok can amplify the pressure to seek approval. Likes, comments, and shares can feel like a measure of your value. But remember, social media is a highlight reel, not a true reflection of life. Take breaks when needed, and don't let the opinions of strangers dictate your self-worth. Here's my challenge for you. The next time you catch yourself worrying about someone's opinion, ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? Most of the time, the answer is no. Now I want to hear from you. What's one way you've learned to let go of caring about others' opinions? Share your insights in the comments. It could inspire someone else who's still on this journey. Number 5, falling for flattery. Flattery can feel intoxicating. Whether it's a compliment on your appearance, a kind word about your talents, or praise for your work ethic, hearing someone speak positively about you feels great. But here's the catch. Flattery can sometimes be a double-edged sword. While genuine compliments are a sign of appreciation, excessive or manipulative flattery can cloud your judgment and make you vulnerable to being taken advantage of. Many women struggle with distinguishing between sincere praise and flattery designed to influence or manipulate. Flattery taps into a deep human need, the desire to be seen, valued, and appreciated. This is especially powerful for women who are often underappreciated for their contributions at work, in relationships, or even in their families. A well-timed compliment can feel like validation, but it's important to ask, what is the intention behind these words? Think about a time someone flattered you, and it felt just a little too good to be true. Perhaps it came from a coworker who needed your help with something, or a romantic partner who wanted to distract you from a problem. Flattery can sometimes be a tool to gain favor, avoid accountability, or manipulate someone's emotions. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Be neither dazzled by outward appearances nor overly attached to the approval of others." This is an important reminder that while praise feels good, it shouldn't define how you see yourself or influence your decisions. So how can you avoid falling for flattery? Start by grounding yourself in self-awareness. When you know your strengths and value, you don't need constant validation from others. Compliments will feel like icing on the cake rather than the whole meal. It's also helpful to pause and evaluate the context of the compliment. Ask yourself, does this person typically give compliments, or is this unusual behavior? Is there a pattern of flattery followed by requests or expectations? Does the compliment feel genuine, or does it seem exaggerated? Learning to accept compliments graciously without becoming dependent on them is a skill. For example, when someone praises you, simply say, "Thank you," instead of deflecting or diminishing the compliment. However, maintain a healthy skepticism when compliments come from individuals who may have ulterior motives. Another tip is to pay attention to your intuition. If a compliment feels overly calculated or insincere, trust your gut. Often, your instincts will tell you when something is off. Finally, don't let flattery overshadow red flags. In relationships, for example, excessive flattery early on can be a tactic used by manipulative individuals to gain trust quickly. Stay alert and balance their words with their actions. Number 6, difficulty saying no. Saying no is one of the simplest words in the English language, yet for many women, it feels like one of the hardest to say. The difficulty often stems from a deep desire to avoid conflict, disappointment, or the fear of being seen as selfish or unkind. Whether it's a friend asking for a favor, a boss piling on extra work, or a partner making unreasonable requests, the inability to say no can lead to exhaustion, resentment, and burnout. This challenge is often rooted in societal expectations. Women are frequently praised for being nurturing, accommodating, and agreeable. While these qualities are admirable, they can also create a sense of obligation to always say yes, even when it's at the expense of their own needs. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something you don't truly want to do, you're saying no to something else, often your own well-being. As author Paulo Coelho famously said, when you say yes to others, make sure you are not saying no to yourself. The inability to say no can manifest in various ways. Agreeing to social plans when you need rest. Taking on extra responsibilities at work despite already being overwhelmed. Saying yes to help someone, even when it's inconvenient or emotionally taxing. Over time, these small sacrifices add up, leading to stress and a loss of personal boundaries. So how do you get better at saying no without guilt? The first step is understanding that no is not inherently negative. It's simply a way to protect your time, energy, and priorities. Saying no doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you're setting boundaries to take care of yourself. Here are a few strategies to help you master the art of saying no. 1. Be honest but polite. Instead of making excuses, simply state your reasons calmly and respectfully. For example, I appreciate the offer, but I can't commit to that right now. Oh, thank you for thinking of me, but I have other priorities to focus on. 2. Practice saying it. If saying no feels awkward, practice it in low-stakes situations. For instance, decline an unnecessary purchase at a store or turn down a telemarketer. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel. 3. Delay your response. If you feel pressured, buy yourself time to think. Say something like, let me check my schedule and get back to you. This gives you space to evaluate whether it's something you genuinely want to say yes to. 4. Offer an alternative. When appropriate, suggest another way to help that doesn't compromise your boundaries. For example, I can't attend the meeting, but I'd be happy to review the notes afterward. 5. Remember your priorities. Keep your goals and values in mind. Saying no to something that doesn't align with your priorities means you're saying yes to what truly matters. It's important to note that people who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries. And for those who don't, their disappointment is not your responsibility. Now it's your turn. When was the last time you struggled to say no, and how did it affect you? Share your experience in the comments and let others know how you're working to set healthier boundaries. Number 7, underestimating their own power. One of the most significant challenges many women face is underestimating their own power. Whether it's doubting their abilities, hesitating to take the lead, or holding back in fear of failure. This self-doubt can limit potential and prevent women from fully stepping into their strength. Why does this happen? Often it stems from societal expectations and internalized messages that tell women to be modest, avoid risk, and stay in the background. These messages can lead to imposter syndrome, where even the most accomplished women feel like they're not good enough or fear being exposed as a fraud. But here's the reality. Women are incredibly powerful. They're capable of influencing change, overcoming challenges, and achieving extraordinary things. The only thing standing in the way is the belief in their own capabilities. As Marianne Williamson famously wrote, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. This quote captures a profound truth. The fear of embracing your full potential can often feel just as intimidating as the fear of failure. Consider the many ways women underestimate their power. In the workplace, hesitating to ask for promotions or raises, even when their performance justifies it. In relationships, staying silent instead of voicing needs and boundaries. In personal goals, holding back on pursuing dreams due to fear of judgment or failure. If you've ever found yourself playing small or doubting your worth, it's time to rewrite that narrative. Here's how. 1. Recognize your wins. Take a moment to reflect on your achievements, big or small. Write them down and celebrate them regularly. This practice reminds you of how far you've come and what you're capable of. 2. Challenge negative self-talk. Pay attention to the inner critic that says, "You can't do this," or "You're not enough." Replace those thoughts with empowering affirmations like, "I am capable of achieving great things. I have the skills and strength to overcome challenges." 3. Take bold actions. Sometimes the best way to build confidence is to act despite the fear. Start with small steps. Speak up in meetings, set ambitious goals, or take on a challenge you've been avoiding. Each step forward builds your sense of power. 4. Surround yourself with supportive people. Spend time with people who believe in you and encourage you to dream big. Positive reinforcement from others can help you see your value more clearly. 5. Embrace growth. Understand that power doesn't mean perfection. It's about learning, growing, and continuously evolving. Mistakes are part of the journey, not a reflection of your worth. Let's not forget the power of community. Women who support and uplift each other create a ripple effect of empowerment. When one woman rises, she paves the way for others to rise too. Number 8, emotional overload. Women are often praised for their emotional intelligence, their ability to empathize, and their capacity to care deeply. While these traits are undoubtedly strengths, they can also lead to emotional overload. Many women find themselves carrying the emotional weight of others, friends, family, colleagues, while juggling their own internal struggles. Over time, this emotional labor can become overwhelming and exhausting. Why does this happen? Women are frequently socialized to be the caregivers and nurturers, expected to provide emotional support to everyone around them. As a result, they may feel obligated to absorb the emotions of others while suppressing their own needs. This often leads to a cycle of neglecting self-care in favor of supporting others. The problem with emotional overload is that it leaves little room for women to process their own feelings. It's like filling a cup to the brim with water from others' wells. Eventually it overflows, leaving them drained and unable to cope. As the author Elizabeth Gilbert said, "You have to participate relentlessly in the care of your own soul." This quote is a powerful reminder that self-care is not selfish. It's essential. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So how can women manage emotional overload? Here are some practical steps. 1. Set emotional boundaries. It's important to recognize that while you can support others, you are not responsible for fixing their problems. Learn to say, "I understand how you feel, but I need to take care of myself right now." 2. Practice emotional awareness. Take time to check in with yourself daily. Ask, "What am I feeling right now?" Journaling, meditating, or even talking to a trusted friend can help you process your emotions before they become overwhelming. 3. Prioritize self-care. Self-care isn't just about spa days or bubble baths. It's about protecting your mental, emotional, and physical health. This could mean taking time to rest, saying no to extra responsibilities, or seeking professional support when needed. 4. Let go of guilt. Many women feel guilty when they take time for themselves. Remind yourself that self-care is not a luxury. It's a necessity. Taking care of yourself allows you to show up better for others. 5. Surround yourself with supportive people. Build a circle of people who understand and respect your need for emotional space. These are the people who will listen without judgment, support your boundaries, and offer encouragement when you need it. 6. Know when to seek help. If emotional overload feels unmanageable, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Therapists and counselors are trained to help you unpack and manage your emotions in a healthy way. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you were carrying the weight of everyone else's emotions? How did you handle it? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone who's currently feeling overwhelmed. Remember, taking care of your emotional health isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. You deserve to feel balanced and at peace. Number 9, fear of failure. Fear of failure is a universal challenge, but for many women, it carries unique weight. Whether it's in their careers, relationships, or personal goals, the fear of making a mistake or falling short can be paralyzing. This fear often stops women from taking risks, pursuing their dreams, or stepping into opportunities that could lead to growth. Why does this fear hit so hard? Society often places unrealistic expectations on women to excel in every area of life, professionally, socially, and personally. The pressure to be perfect amplifies the fear of failure, making any misstep feel like a reflection of their worth or abilities. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Every successful person has faced setbacks and challenges along the way. As Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset shift is key to overcoming the fear of failure. Fear of failure can manifest in various ways. Procrastination, delaying tasks because you're afraid they won't turn out perfectly. Perfectionism, overworking or overthinking to avoid making mistakes. Avoidance, not pursuing opportunities because you're scared of rejection or disappointment. So how do you conquer this fear? 1. Reframe failure as a learning experience. Instead of seeing failure as the end, view it as a stepping stone. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Every mistake is an opportunity to grow, adapt, and improve. 2. Take small risks regularly. Start with manageable challenges that push you slightly out of your comfort zone. Each small win builds confidence and reduces the power of fear. 3. Let go of perfectionism. Remember, done is better than perfect. Perfection is an impossible standard, and aiming for it only increases fear. Focus on progress, not perfection. 4. Visualize success. Spend time imagining yourself succeeding rather than failing. Positive visualization can help shift your mindset and reduce anxiety about taking risks. 5. Surround yourself with encouragement. Share your goals and fears with supportive friends, mentors, or loved ones. Their encouragement can help you push past self-doubt and take the leap. 6. Reflect on past successes. Think about times when you overcame challenges or fears in the past. Remind yourself that you've faced difficulties before and come out stronger. 7. Accept that failure is normal. Everyone experiences failure. It's part of being human. Normalize it for yourself and others. Remember that failing doesn't make you a failure. Here's an empowering quote from Brené Brown. "Failure is an imperfect word for learning. It's a reminder that every setback is an opportunity for growth, not a reason to give up." Now I want to hear from you. What's one fear of failure you faced in your life, and how did you overcome it? Or what's one step you're taking to face that fear today? Share your thoughts in the comments. You might just inspire someone to take their own leap of faith. Number 10. Overthinking everything. Overthinking is one of the most common struggles women face. Whether it's replaying a past conversation, worrying about how others perceive them, or obsessing over every possible outcome of a decision, overthinking can feel like a mental trap. It often leads to anxiety, self-doubt, and indecision, making even small choices feel overwhelming. Why do we overthink? For many women, it comes from a desire to get things right. Society often places an unfair expectation on women to be perfect in their roles, as professionals, partners, mothers, or friends. This pressure can create a mental loop of second-guessing and overanalyzing everything. But here's the truth. Overthinking rarely leads to better outcomes. In fact, it often does the opposite. As Eckhart Tolle wisely said, "Worry pretends to be necessary, but serves no useful purpose." Overthinking steals your peace and keeps you stuck, unable to move forward confidently. Here's how overthinking might show up in your life. Replaying conversations. Worrying if you said the wrong thing or if someone misunderstood you. Paralysis by analysis. Overanalyzing every detail of a decision until you're too overwhelmed to act. Imagining worst-case scenarios. Letting what-if thoughts spiral into anxiety about things that haven't even happened. So how can you break free from the cycle of overthinking? 1. Set a time limit for decisions. If you're stuck overanalyzing a choice, give yourself a deadline. For example, decide to make a decision within 30 minutes or by the end of the day. This creates a sense of urgency and prevents endless deliberation. 2. Focus on what you can control. Ask yourself, Is this something I can change or influence? If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your energy to things within your control. 3. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness helps you stay present and reduces the mental chatter. Techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or even a short walk can bring your focus back to the present moment. 4. Trust your intuition. Sometimes your gut feeling is all you need to make a decision. Trusting your instincts can help you avoid overcomplicating situations. 5. Limit information overload. Overthinking often stems from having too much information. Set boundaries on how much research or input you seek. For example, decide to read no more than 3 articles or consult only one trusted person. 6th challenge, negative thoughts. When you notice overthinking creeping in, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Am I assuming the worst? What's the most likely, realistic outcome? Often, this kind of self-reflection helps break the cycle of worry. 7. Take action. The best way to silence overthinking is to act. Even small steps can help you regain a sense of control and momentum. Let's not forget that overthinking is often a sign of caring deeply. While it can feel frustrating, it also reflects a thoughtful, reflective nature. The key is learning to balance thoughtfulness with decisiveness. Number 11. Comparing themselves to others. In today's world of social media, comparison has become an epidemic. Women often find themselves measuring their worth against others, whether it's based on appearance, career success, relationships, or lifestyle. The problem with comparison is that it creates a constant feeling of inadequacy. When you're constantly comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, it's easy to feel like you're falling short. Why do women tend to compare themselves to others? It's human nature to want to belong and be accepted, but it's compounded by societal pressures. Women are often bombarded with unrealistic beauty standards, expectations of success, and the notion that they should have it all together. This creates a constant cycle of measuring their own lives against an idealized version of someone else's. As the great philosopher Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The key to overcoming the trap of comparison is realizing that happiness and fulfillment come from within, not from trying to match someone else's journey. Here's how comparing yourself to others might show up in your life. Appearance. Constantly feeling like you're not as attractive or fit as someone else. Career. Measuring your professional success against a peer's accomplishments. Relationships. Feeling like your personal life is lacking compared to others' seemingly perfect relationships. Lifestyle. Feeling envious of someone else's vacations, home, or social life. So how can you break free from the comparison trap? 1. Recognize your own unique journey. Everyone's path is different. You may not be where you want to be right now, but that doesn't mean you're not making progress. Compare your current self to your past self, not to others. Celebrate how far you've come, even if you're not yet where you want to be. 2. Limit social media exposure. Social media often exaggerates the best parts of people's lives, giving a false sense of perfection. Consider unfollowing accounts that make you feel inferior and curating your feed with content that inspires, uplifts, or educates you. 3. Practice gratitude. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, the habit of comparison starts to fade. Every day, make a list of 3 things you're grateful for. This practice shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Celebrate others' successes. Instead of feeling jealous of someone else's accomplishments, shift your mindset to celebrate them. Recognizing and supporting others' victories will empower you to feel good about their success without diminishing your own. 5. Embrace imperfection. Perfection is an illusion. Instead of striving to be perfect, focus on being authentic. Everyone has flaws, challenges, and struggles. What matters is how you respond to them. 6. Set personal goals. Focus on your own goals, not on what others are doing. When you set and work toward personal goals that align with your values, you'll feel more empowered and less concerned with other people's progress. 7. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would give to a friend. When you catch yourself comparing, Gently remind yourself that you are doing your best, and that's enough. Number 12, fear of rejection. Fear of rejection is one of the most paralyzing emotions many women face. Whether it's in personal relationships, professional settings, or even in social situations, the thought of being rejected can create intense anxiety and self-doubt. This fear can prevent women from taking risks, speaking up, or pursuing opportunities that could lead to personal growth. Why is rejection so painful? For many women, it's tied to the fear of not being enough, whether it's not being good enough, lovable enough, or capable enough. The fear of rejection can be rooted in past experiences of being overlooked, dismissed, or misunderstood. In a world that often places unrealistic expectations on women to be flawless, rejection feels like an attack on their identity rather than a normal part of life. But here's the reality. Rejection is a part of life, and it doesn't define your worth. As author and motivational speaker Eric Thomas once said, "Don't worry about being rejected. It's not about you, it's about what they need at that moment." Rejection is often more about the circumstances or the other person's preferences than it is about your inherent value. So how can women overcome the fear of rejection and learn to move through it with resilience? 1. Reframe rejection as redirection. Instead of seeing rejection as a failure, view it as a form of redirection. Perhaps it's not the right fit, or maybe there's something better waiting for you. Rejection can open doors to new opportunities that align more closely with your goals. 2. Separate self-worth from external validation. Your worth is not determined by others' opinions of you. Practice affirmations and self-love to strengthen your internal sense of value. Remember that you are enough, regardless of how others may respond. 3. Embrace vulnerability. Rejection can only hurt you if you avoid putting yourself out there. Embrace vulnerability as a strength, not a weakness. When you allow yourself to be open, you allow room for connection, growth, and opportunities that you might otherwise miss. 4. Take small risks. Start by taking small steps outside your comfort zone. Apply for a job you're not sure you'll get, ask someone out, or pitch an idea. Each time you face rejection and move past it, you build emotional resilience. 5. Learn from rejection. Instead of internalizing rejection as a personal flaw, ask yourself what you can learn from the experience. Is there something you could improve, or was the rejection simply a matter of timing? Use rejection as a tool for self-reflection and growth. 6. Remember that everyone faces rejection. No one is immune to rejection, not even the most successful people in the world. Every great leader, entrepreneur, and artist has faced rejection at some point. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is the ability to keep going despite setbacks. 7. Cultivate a supportive network. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. A strong support system helps you process rejection in a healthy way, offering perspective, comfort, and reassurance that you are worthy, regardless of setbacks. Here's a powerful thought to hold on to. Rejection doesn't make you less deserving. It simply means the timing wasn't right or the opportunity wasn't the right fit. Your value remains unchanged. Number 13, not prioritizing their own needs. One of the most common weaknesses many women face is the tendency to put everyone else's needs before their own. Whether it's in personal relationships, work, or family dynamics, women are often conditioned to care for others at the expense of their own well-being. While selflessness is a virtue, it can also lead to burnout, resentment, and neglecting one's own needs. Why does this happen? Societal expectations often place women in nurturing roles, where they're seen as caregivers, protectors, and supporters. This can lead to a sense of duty to always be there for others, leaving little to no room for themselves. Over time, this pattern of self-sacrifice can become detrimental to their emotional and physical health. As the renowned author Audre Lorde once said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." This quote reminds us that prioritizing our own needs is not selfish. It's necessary for survival and well-being. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of others in the long run. Here's how neglecting your own needs can show up in your life. Physical exhaustion, constantly running on empty, unable to rest or recharge. Emotional burnout, feeling drained or emotionally depleted from taking on others' emotional burdens. Resentment. Over time, neglecting your needs can lead to feelings of resentment toward others, especially when they don't reciprocate your efforts. Lack of boundaries, struggling to say no, feeling guilty when you do, or constantly sacrificing your time for others. So how can women start prioritizing their own needs without feeling guilty or selfish? 1. Set clear boundaries. Boundaries are essential for maintaining balance. Clearly communicate your needs to others, and don't be afraid to say no when something doesn't align with your well-being. Setting boundaries is not about being harsh. It's about respecting yourself and your time. 2. Practice self-care regularly. Self-care is not a one-time activity. It's a daily practice. Whether it's taking a walk, reading a book, or simply resting, make time for activities that rejuvenate and nourish you. 3. Reconnect with your own goals. Take a moment to reflect on your own goals, dreams, and desires. What do you want for yourself, independent of others' expectations? Reconnect with your passions and make time to pursue them. 4. Learn to say no. Saying no is one of the most powerful ways to prioritize your own needs. Practice saying no to things that drain your energy or don't serve your well-being. It's not about rejecting others, it's about making space for yourself. 5. Ask for help when needed. You don't have to do everything alone. It's okay to ask for help, whether it's from a partner, a friend, or a colleague. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's a recognition that you deserve support. 6. Recognize your limits. It's important to know your limits, both emotionally and physically. Don't push yourself to the brink of exhaustion just to meet everyone else's needs. Know when to step back and recharge. 7. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you feel like you've fallen short. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same care and understanding that you would offer a friend in need. Here's a powerful reminder. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is essential for being able to show up for others in a healthy, sustainable way. Number 14, avoiding conflict. Avoiding conflict is a weakness that many women experience, and it often stems from the desire to maintain harmony and avoid confrontation. While wanting to keep peace in relationships is natural, constantly avoiding conflict can lead to suppressed emotions, unresolved issues, and feelings of frustration. Over time, this avoidance can damage relationships, hinder personal growth, and create a sense of powerlessness. Why do women tend to avoid conflict? Societal expectations have often conditioned women to be peacemakers, to keep things smooth, and to avoid being seen as difficult or argumentative. There's a deep fear of being rejected, misunderstood, or perceived as overly emotional. This fear can lead women to bottle up their thoughts and feelings, which only makes the issues worse in the long run. But here's the thing. Conflict is a natural and inevitable part of relationships in life. As the philosopher Aristotle said, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. Conflict, when handled with respect and understanding, can be a tool for growth, deeper connection, and clarity. It's about finding resolution, not creating drama. Here's how avoiding conflict might show up in your life. Passive-aggressive behavior. Bottling up your feelings until they eventually come out in unhealthy ways. Resentment. Holding on to unspoken grievances because you didn't address issues as they arose. Internal stress. Constantly worrying about potential conflicts, which causes anxiety and prevents you from feeling at ease. Unclear boundaries. Letting others take advantage of your time or space because you're afraid of standing up for yourself. So how can women overcome the fear of conflict and approach it with confidence and respect? 1. Change your perspective on conflict. Instead of seeing conflict as something negative, view it as an opportunity for growth and understanding. Healthy conflict allows you to express your needs, clarify misunderstandings, and strengthen relationships. 2. Communicate clearly and calmly. The way you approach conflict matters. Practice expressing yourself clearly and calmly without aggression or defensiveness. Use I statements to communicate your feelings, such as, "I feel frustrated when." This creates an environment for open dialogue instead of accusations. 3. Set boundaries. Early address issues as soon as they arise rather than letting them build up. By setting boundaries early and speaking up in a respectful manner, you can prevent small issues from becoming bigger problems later on. 4. Listen actively. Conflict is a two-way street. Be sure to listen to the other person's perspective without interrupting. Active listening fosters mutual understanding and helps find common ground. 5. Embrace discomfort. Conflict can feel uncomfortable, but discomfort doesn't have to be avoided. Lean into the discomfort of having tough conversations, knowing that on the other side, you'll have clarity and resolution. 6. Stay calm under pressure. When conflict arises, keep your emotions in check. Practice techniques like deep breathing, grounding, or taking a brief break to collect your thoughts before reacting. Staying calm allows for more productive conversations. 7. Know when to walk away. Not all conflicts can be resolved right away. Sometimes it's okay to walk away and revisit the issue later when both parties are calmer. It's important to know when a break is needed to avoid escalating the situation. 8. Focus on solutions, not blame. Rather than focusing on who's right or wrong, shift the focus to finding a solution that works for both parties. Solutions-oriented thinking helps de-escalate the conflict and paves the way for resolution. Here's a key takeaway. Conflict doesn't have to mean the end of a relationship or situation. When handled properly, conflict can lead to better understanding, deeper connection, and personal growth. Now, I want to hear from you. How do you handle conflict in your life? Have you ever avoided it to your detriment? And what did you learn from that experience? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's learn together how to navigate conflict in a healthy, constructive way. Number 15. Fear of being vulnerable. Vulnerability is one of the most powerful yet intimidating aspects of being human. For many women, the fear of being vulnerable can act as a major barrier to authentic connection and personal growth. The idea of opening up and showing your true self, especially your weaknesses, insecurities, and emotions, can feel terrifying. Why is vulnerability so feared? For many women, vulnerability is often seen as a sign of weakness. Society tends to encourage women to appear strong, independent, and composed, creating an unspoken pressure to suppress emotions and protect themselves from judgment. Additionally, past experiences of being hurt or misunderstood may make women hesitant to open up again, reinforcing the idea that vulnerability equals risk and pain. But here's the paradox. Vulnerability is actually a source of strength. As Brené Brown, a researcher and expert on vulnerability, says, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability allows you to be seen, to connect deeply with others, and to embrace your humanity. Without it, you miss out on the depth of relationships and experiences that make life meaningful. Here's how fear of vulnerability might manifest in your life. Emotional guardedness. Keeping your true feelings hidden for fear of rejection or judgment. Difficulty asking for help. Hesitating to admit when you need support, out of fear that others will think less of you. Avoiding intimacy. Shying away from deep emotional connections in relationships because of the risk of getting hurt. Perfectionism. Trying to present a flawless version of yourself to protect against vulnerability, which often leads to stress and burnout. So how can women overcome the fear of vulnerability and embrace it as a tool for growth and connection? First, shift your mindset about vulnerability. Rather than seeing vulnerability as a weakness, reframe it as a source of strength. It takes courage to open up and show your authentic self. When you embrace vulnerability, you allow others to see you for who you truly are, and that's where real connection happens. 2. Start small. You don't need to dive into deep emotional sharing right away. Start by allowing yourself to be vulnerable in small ways. Share a personal story, express a feeling, or admit when you don't have all the answers. Gradually, you'll build the muscle of vulnerability. 3. Be compassionate with yourself. Recognize that vulnerability is part of the human experience. It's okay to feel scared or uncertain when you open up. Treat yourself with kindness, understanding that vulnerability is a step toward growth, not a flaw. 4. Build trust. Gradually. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing with everyone. It's important to build trust with others before opening up about your deeper emotions and experiences. Find safe spaces with people who respect and honor your vulnerability. 5. Share your struggles. By sharing your struggles, you give others the permission to do the same. Vulnerability fosters an environment where people can be open and supportive, leading to deeper, more meaningful connections. 6. Let go of perfectionism. Perfectionism is often a defense mechanism against vulnerability. When you let go of the need to appear flawless, you free yourself to be authentic. Embrace your imperfections and know that they make you relatable, human, and real. 7. Embrace emotional expression. Allow yourself to feel and express your emotions without shame. Whether you're sad, angry, or joyful, expressing your feelings authentically strengthens your emotional health and enhances your relationships. 8. Understand that vulnerability builds resilience. Opening up and facing your fears can actually make you stronger. Each time you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you build resilience and deepen your capacity to handle life's challenges with grace. Here's a powerful thought to hold on to. Vulnerability is not about being weak. It's about being courageous enough to show up as your true self, to be seen and accepted for who you are, flaws and all. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever struggled with vulnerability? What steps have you taken to open up and embrace it? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's support one another in building courage and connection. And there we have it, everyone. Those are the 15 common weaknesses women face, and more importantly, how we can use them to fuel our growth, resilience, and inner strength. Remember, embracing your weaknesses doesn't make you weaker, it makes you human. Stoicism teaches us that our power lies in how we respond to challenges, and the fact that you're here, learning and growing, already puts you on the path to greatness. Whether it's learning to set boundaries, overcoming the fear of rejection, or letting go of perfectionism, each small step you take toward embracing vulnerability and making change is a victory. You are stronger than you think, and the process of facing your weaknesses head-on is what will shape you into the best version of yourself. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these weaknesses resonated with you most, and what's one step you're going to take today to overcome it? Drop a comment below. I'm always here to support you and hear about your personal journeys. Your story could inspire someone else on their path to growth. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join the Powerful Stoic Way family for more videos like this. We're in this together, and I can't wait to keep growing with you. Until next time, stay strong, stay stoic, and keep turning your challenges into opportunities. You've got this.